Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and today we're taking a look at Convoy. This is an interesting one because it was originally a Kickstarter game and supposedly takes some inspiration from FTL, but the setting is more like the Mad Max films, so it's a post-apocalyptic vehicular warfare type game, which sounded very interesting when I first got this, so let's take a look and see what's what. Now, the story itself is that you are from this spaceship that you see right here, this green ship right here, and it's encountered some mechanical problems and it needs some replacement parts. So you've made an emergency landing on this planet and you're going to go look for those parts. So we're going to continue here. And this is the convoy that I have, so all of the units in here. So in FTL, you would command an entire ship and you'd manage your crew. In this, you command the convoy as part of the so-called quote-unquote ship, and then you manage the individual vehicles. So I can actually manage a formation right here, and if I were to go into combat, then that's the formation I would play out with. So moving units is very simple, it's just a matter of left click and right click, and there's an interesting element where you can ram vehicles, which adds a little bit more of the dynamic elements to the vehicle control. So aside from just shooting with weapons, you can, as an option, sacrifice some of your vehicle durability to ram another vehicle. In addition, heavier vehicles can push lighter ones into obstacles, and that can prove quite useful, as I'll try to demonstrate to you. So right here, this is where our convoy is at the moment, and we are at a camp, so we can actually just go to the camp, and this is similar to the shops in FTL. After all, there is a shop, and we can buy certain weapons. The only problem I've noticed with this is that the weapons themselves don't appear to restock very often. So once you've bought it, it seems to be just an empty slot. And these don't really randomize either, so if you go back to a shop, you will find the same things there. Now, the currency in this is scrap, as it was in FTL, and fuel. So these are the two resources you have to manage, and these will allow you to repair, buy new equipment, buy new vehicles, and upgrade the vehicles that you have. Now, the centerpiece of the convoy is the logistics vehicle, which is the one right here. This vehicle doesn't move, but has all of the special abilities, and these are used in combat in a similar way to things like the mind control or drone control modules in FTL. So these are all your special abilities, and they don't fire in the way that a normal weapon would. The rest of the vehicles, on the other hand, work just like that, so they have their own weapons and so on. And you might notice also there are two bars. There's a blue one and a red one. The red one is your vehicle integrity, so once that's gone, the vehicle's destroyed. However, there's also armor. Armor is the blue one, and that negates damage up to a certain percentage. So here, our armor points are 45%, and that negates 45% of incoming damage. In addition to that, this vehicle also has a shield which will absorb 100 points of damage before finally being taken down. Now, I don't know if this is affected by the armor. I assume it probably isn't, but it's also just a nice thing to have. The shield also allows you to absorb damage taken from ramming as well, so it gives you a certain advantage. Alright, so we're going to leave the camp and we're going to go exploring. So here on the map, it's more of an open world, or close to an open world anyway. Everything is still based on these hexes, but you can move in any direction you so choose. And unlike FTL, which was based on nodes, this allows you to go just about anywhere. So we have a bunch of objectives. I remember FTL would sometimes give you missions and you had an overarching objective. This is kind of the same, except the objectives lead you in different directions. So these are the parts I need to get from my ship. These are some side objectives. And below that we have some points of interest, so things like nearest camps, things like the actual ship, and that will create a little arrow telling you which direction to go in. And you can go any direction you want, but the terrain also affects your speed and your fuel usage as well. Alright, so let's go towards one of the side objectives. I think actually we might be able to go after one of these main objectives. Yeah, let's go that way. Okay, so we can just drag it around and move the ship I'll move the convoy that way, or we can just go along. Occasionally we'll see these radio signals. These are actual points of interest as well, and they do different things, so let's just go check this one out. Alright, now this is all text-based, and you have a different set of options in each situation. So here we have a large group of privateers. Vehicles engaged in combat. They seem to be two separate groups fighting each other. In this case, we can wait for them to finish each other off, or we can move into engage. Let's wait. Battle rages on until eventually only one faction is left standing. Let's go and engage them. And in this case, it didn't lead to a battle, and we just won straight away and got ourselves a nice amount of scrap and fuel, which is very nice indeed, because we were running a little bit low on that. Alright, let's go on the road, which allows us to go very fast. And we have been spotted by privateers, so we can spend some fuel and escape, or we can go straight into it. Let's get into it and I can show you what the combat is like. Alright, so we have an active pause, which is like that. So this is exactly like how FTL played out. We have a pause, but we are able to do issue orders and so on while that is happening. So we've got a bunch of different abilities here. Let's use... This is actually a super heavy railgun, so this will damage vehicles. In some cases, one-shot them, and it ignores shields and, I believe, armor as well. Oh no, it damages armor, but it ignores shields. So we'll go after the heavily shielded guy. Let's take out the guy with the shield there with our EMP blaster. And let's drop some mines in the way of this chap over here. Alright, and we can issue orders to our units as well while that is happening. And let's just move that one back there and engage that. Alright, let's see how that plays out. Okay, so this one is destroyed. I believe the railgun did fire and did some significant damage. Now, if we lose our lead convoy vehicle, the battle is over and the game is over. If we lose any of these escorts, we are, for the most part, kind of screwed. Lose all your escorts and it's pretty much game over. Now, most of the combat will be done just pausing and retargeting vehicles, to be honest, because there doesn't appear to be a lot more to do. But there is an element in this that FTL did not have, and that is obstacles. You can see right here there is a wreck, and that will actually damage vehicles. But if you move out of the way, of course, you can avoid the damage. Same goes with mines and another type of obstacle, which hopefully pops up soon. Alright, you can see right here, there's an exclamation mark. This could be an obstacle or a mine coming up. So if I keep this vehicle where he is right now, we're going to end up running into it. So now you'll notice every vehicle has a square around it. The game is actually grid-based. Even though it looks like the vehicles are moving fluidly, it is still grid-based. So I'm going to try and push this guy over there, and that will be a ram. I'm going to move this guy over here. And I think these two are good for now. So now we're able to move him out of the way, and that was a wreck that we would have run into otherwise. Alright, so let's bring this guy over here. Bring you up here. And let's continue engaging that one, I think. Alright, so here you can see a skull, and that skull is indicating an obstacle that's coming up that is completely impassable. Any collision with it will result in the destruction of whatever vehicle crashes into it. Now, you'll notice that the logistics vehicle cannot move, and there will be no obstacles that will appear in its path, however mines and such will still appear there. So this could benefit us, or it could benefit them. If we push them into it, they will die. Of course, if I'm not careful and I run my vehicle into it, that happens to be not so good for us. So I think what I'll try to do is I'm going to ram you into it. And that didn't quite work. We didn't get to it in time, but we can actually push enemy vehicles into obstacles, which is definitely quite nice. Alright, let's retarget all of the vehicles to this one here. In fact, we might even drop some mines in his path and fire the Imply Blaster at him. And that's really it. That's the entire combat system. Of course, there is a good and bad. Like, there is an element of, I suppose, dynamic going on. Like, it's more dynamic that I feel than FTL was in some areas for the matter, like when you're moving out of the way of obstacles. However, at the same time, FTL also had a lot more abilities and such that made combat feel a little bit more in-depth. That it's something that this game still lacks. However, it is a very expansive world, but unfortunately, there's not a lot in it, actually. Like, the events seem fairly limited. It's either a battle or it's a text-based event that gives you either a new vehicle, a new piece of equipment, some scrap, or whatsoever. There isn't really much else to it. There are some interesting side objectives. For example, the Here Be Dragons actually has you fight a very interestingly shaped vehicle. That it is actually a very dangerous boss. However, this is a roguelike as well, so repeated plays of it will unlock more things and so on and so forth. And the locations objectives will of course change as well. For the most part, the map itself seems to be the same, but I can't really tell. It seems like it's very, very similar. But again, I could be wrong about that. But for the most part, missions tend to be in different places. However, all the main objectives are the exact same mission every time. So once you've played it, you know what to expect. Overall, as a roguelike, it doesn't appear to be very in-depth, unfortunately. But it is an interesting setting, so if you're looking for a sort of post-apocalyptic roguelike based with vehicular combat, I guess, then this could interest you, but otherwise it's very limited in scope, which is unfortunate because it would have been a very good game otherwise. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. However, I do feel that that's probably going to be short-lived. I think after a few replays of this, it might get very samey, which is unfortunate. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Panzer taking a look at Convoy. It's now available on Steam. Go and check it out if you like what you see. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.